EU versus NA action. One of the top 8 players, Wam01, goes up against Artie. It's going to be a stomp, right? Might be. Not sure which way it's going to be a stomp, though. We'll just have to find out as we hop into game 1, where we will be taking to good old Dry Arabia as is standardized. And once again, a Roos versus a Bassett matchup. Now, we've been seeing a few of these. It's been an emerging choice at the moment. More people choosing to actually opt in the Abassids. The Roos may be less surprising. I think that is a Civ that most people could have seen coming, just because if the boar spawn is good, which this is gorgeous, then you can do some serious damage. We'll have to see if Wam goes to that type of early build now. The interesting thing about this matchup is if you are the Abassids and you can make your way to castle, you are actually pretty well poised to take control of the game. Horse archers struggle immensely against camel archers. They receive numerous nerfs in the past while camel archers continue to get buffed. Camels have the camel unease that reduces the horse archer damage by a raw 20%. And then on top of that, there's complementary elements that also prevent horse archer spam being good for the Roos, namely mangonels that can be built in the field by anything. And the thing that I always look towards, like, as a recovery time is if you're the Roos, like, you kind of have to win in Feudal or win in Imperial. If you try to march in a castle neck and neck with an Abassid player, not only will they have a strong eco, but all their military counters work really well against you at that stage in the game. Especially when you consider, like, what are you going to build if you're building horse archers? You're not going to build spearmen and man-at-arms. You're going to build knights and also monks. And everything there doesn't like going up against camels. The other remarkable thing, actually, to keep in mind for the Abassids is once you do get to Castle Age, your camels, well, they all of a sudden start snorting cocaine and injecting speed because they move quicker than horsemen. And you can never get away. So, really, win conditions, to just sum them up off the back of this, Wam, it's Feudal, or you have to wait Imperial. Artie, it's all about reaching Castle in good shape. So you want to make sure if you go for multi-TC boom, don't lose half your eco to do so. If you see your opponent is going for a ball play, maybe have a few horsemen out in the field that can block that. But overall, your goal is to reach Castle in good shape. Wam, looking to reach Feudal in good shape. Already looking like he's getting the good gains. Look at this, the pullback of Wolves as well. 330 bounty. Not even 3 minutes in the game. I feel like Roos players have gotten phenomenal in this tournament. Like, the last few weeks of competitive play, we used to say that you're doing good as a Roos player if you crack, like, just about crack 300. It's almost just become a regular pattern now for these top Roos players, even when they're up against very talented and accomplished gamers, to not even struggle to breach 300. They're usually looking at 350, maybe 380. And actually, I see why in this game. This game was a miskill approach by Artie. He chose to opt for the additional villager. So he built only one, like, he only had one scout. He only had his starting scout. He never built a second. And that's why I expect Wam is going to probably crack 400 before he even looks at boar. No Barrett almost researched. This could very easily be the boar pull. Artie, of course, has started off on the berries. The sheepies, only 7 coming back. So if he comes under fire on the north side, I'm really worried, actually. So if Wam finds a way to interject here via the east side of this wood line, Artie's entire economy shuts down. Like, everything is dead. He's only got 7 sheep underneath his TC. He wouldn't be able to easily access wood because you'd have to come far out on the left one. And you wouldn't have the backup of berries. You'd struggle to get on the stone to go for TC boom later as well. So I think Artie needs to be very careful. His approach should be to get militarily aggressive because his base is far too exposed for you to comfortably say, I want multi-TCs. Especially if your opponent is going to make that ball play happen because that leads to a proxy. And the proxy bases tend to lead to a stomp in favor of the Roos. And there it is, marching 7 villages out. So Wam not going for maximum efficiency here. Timing could have been perfect there, but Artie wraps around again just in time to see what's coming. Stable is already being constructed, so it looks like he does want to try and get out on the field. And yep, here we go, the shenanigans. Artie is going to pull the ball left and right to make sure Wam can't actually attack it right away. Bringing the reset. This will be the moment to actually go and engage here. Try and target out the villagers if you can. Push them away, push them at bay, but with 3 scouts coming in, there's only so much Artie's one little scout boy can do. So it's not going to be enough. Won't be able to find the villager. Has to peel away just before dying. 1 scout will always keep him away from this. Hunter cabin now going up. Stable in the field. Archery range follow-up as well. So Don Artie is going to be aggressive here. He's now going on the stone. Is going to be heavily delayed on his TC. I'm expecting at least 10 military units before you go for it. Anything less just feels like you're being greedy. Maybe you can stop at like 3 horsemen, 5 archers maximum. But you do need to get defense force up. Meanwhile, Broadaxe now coming through, so Wam is going to inflate his economy in the next 2 minutes. Good timing as well. The archer range is going up. Looks like he's going for the stable. I respect that. I actually prefer that. All archers just doesn't make sense, and he understands it perfectly when he scouts in and sees the horseman coming out, so he's going to look to get that counter. And remember, when you go for these knights, the goal isn't to overwhelm your opponent with knights. It's simply to function as a front line. And the reason you go knights as opposed to, like, spearmen, well, you know, spearmen get countered by archers, right? And, like, you want your full range composite to be, like, unleashed without having to relinquish control because they're being harassed by horsemen. I think, honestly, for the Rus, even if they had access to, say, man-at-arms early on as a civ, you'd still probably go knights, because the thing that's really nice about knights is you're able to more flexibly set up your front line. Man-at-arms can't actually react to a flank attack very fast. Knights can. Of course, you can afford those knights quite comfortably via the Golden Gate. It's kind of ridiculous when you actually think about the maths of the early game economy of Rus, because you've got this wooden fortress that's giving you 20% more in drop-off. So you're already bolstering your eco, and I talk about that a lot. But what I don't necessarily get into as much, because you know, I feel like I nerdgasm about Golden Gate too much as it is the knock-on effect. You're getting 20% more of a resource, but then with the Golden Gate, you're able to exchange that resource for 1.5 times the amount of gold. That inflates your economy by a phenomenal amount before the 10-minute mark, because that number is so big in the grand scheme of things at this stage of the game. It's what allows the Rus to be one of the most aggressive civs in Age of Empires right now. Their timing's usually locking into feudal to end a game, where most civs will just look to aggress feudal to prolong into castle. Look at this. Don Artie does go for the expansion TC to the south side. Out of the way aggression. I actually quite like this play. At first glance, this looks bad because you're out in no man's land. It's very dangerous. But what did we highlight about Don Artie's starting point? Defending his berries is going to be hard. Limited sheep. He does at least get the outpost up so he'll be able to get through these berries, but they're not going to last long. And if you push north, you expose yourself more easily to the ram rush. Now, Wam01 has a problem. If he goes for the extension TC, he has to flank past the main base. He will be backstabbed by the horsemen. So even with the knights, like we talked about that dynamic line that you can form, it's still hard to keep up the pressure from multiple angles. And it means that Wam doesn't really have a way of accessing this TC without throwing the game. He has to go through the main base to get rid of the stables and archery ranges, and I love this from Artie as a result. Identifying this, he layers himself, trying to get the wall up to delay the timings and forcing Wam to go to the south side where he doesn't want to be. Archer's moving in position, but the horseman should push Wam away. 2 knights means that Artie needs to be careful, though. And that is going to be Archer's sacrifice on the retreat. Needs to buy more time. You can see that this wall was very important for Artie. Because if you get this wall up, it delays the timing for Wam by probably 2 minutes. And that's really important because it lets you build up enough horsemen to address the knights. And right now, he knows that one stable alone can't do that, which is why he's now investing in the secondary. Something that he can afford due to the fact he's on the deer down here, and his villages only cost 25 food each. So he has a lot of additional food floated in his economy at this point. Wam not letting up at any point. You can see he's just starting to bulk his force, so no intent to actually fall back for an economical benefit. He should know about this TC expansion. I'm not actually sure if Wam did scout it recently, but he's going to find out about it in the next minute. He has to suspect his opponent is doing something here because he saw him in the stone before, right? So he'll move in now, gets the info, but what do you do with this? Well, diving the TC is going to be problematic because something I have to give credit to for Artie, it looks like he was starting to push his villagers away from the deer stack once he reached threshold, right? The threshold is 10. You can only hold 10 inside this TC. So this really is just a bait. This is an attention drawer. So the Artie's main base goes uncontested, and any additional surplus villagers coming out from this TC could be reinvested in the main base. There you go. Your worst nightmare. 1 camel archer. One Camel Archer. It's like Five Nights at Freddy's. There's only one member to this horror crew. You're Freddy Krueger, if you will, because this one Camel Archer is going to mitigate a heavy amount of Knight damage here. And while the Knights weren't ever meant to be a damage dealer, it's still damage removal from the composition. And it's an efficient way for Artie to do it. He invests the cost of one Knight to mitigate, like, what, 3/5 of a Knight? Forever and ever. And now more Camel Archers coming out as well. Needs to be careful. These units don't trade that well in Archers one-on-one. Not cost-wise anyway. The Rams are coming in. Horsemen are starting to stack up. And it's double Ram here, so it can actually blitz this reasonable pace. You have to show some respect to this. Won't take 50 seconds to get through. And there the torches out of position. Wam! Missed position here. I don't like where he's standing. The Spearman in the mixer as well is problematic. The Knights have to back away. And no, they're stuck in a choke point. They're surrounded. Front line is starting to bulk real quick here. It can't hold up against this aggression. The push forward, the push back. Artie pushing him all the way back towards his proxy base. Front line is gone. And the Horsemen can flood on through. Only 2 Knights remain here. Wham! He miscalibrated here. The Rams came a little bit too early. The Knight count was not high enough. And now he's going to hemorrhage a lot of his aggression. Several archers going down so fast here. Camel Archers and a few archers in the mix are just targeting out the remaining Knights. The Spearmen pushing through into the choke points as well. And Artie willing to throw away his army to trade out Whams because at home, Artie is bolstering his economy while Wham is not. Dive even in towards the Wooden Fortress here. Should be way backs away, keeps the Camel Archers alive. Most of the Horsemen go down, but the breathing space that Artie got should allow him to build up these walls now. Should allow him to extend to the north side, and that he has. He already gets the pocket eco up on the berries next to Deer, and Wham can't look here anymore. There's a static defense in place that will spot him very early if he sends in one Knight. And he's actually forcing the aggression on the south side. And look at Artie with his gamble. He says, okay, now you're stuck. Now you have to keep playing tug of war with me. You're never going to spot this. And he might be right, because the other detail to keep in mind is, what did he kill of Whams? Well, he killed the Knights down to 1. Decent amount of archers. Where's the scouts? The scouts are dead. He killed them. And it's very hard to see otherwise. It looks like Wham might spot this out, though, with the Knight, because he's suspicious. But you can see the army's already in position, so he can't do anything about this. So Don Artie, with the gamble, is going to be fine, because now he can just weave between these 2 tree lines, and he can match whatever Wham does. And Wham doesn't have enough Knights now to be able to jump back and forth onto the pocket ecos. And Artie, I wouldn't be surprised if we start to see some farms coming out soon, because all aggression is going to start to redirect towards these berry patches, so he can insulate himself that way. Villagers. Uh-oh. Artie on a coffee break. Clash as the Knights do move in. Those Knights will not last long. The Spearmen able to reach around and stab him down. 2 dead in the blink of an eye. And this isn't looking good. This trade's going to be worse for Wham. Last time he had the choke point, last time he had the Knights to hold, he doesn't have that anymore, and he's still not targeting out the spears. Wham finally realizes it. But it realizes it so late that he's lost additional Knights in the pursuit of this that never needed to die. And once again, Artie just putting Wham in his place. Wham keeping the quantity in his favor, but losing ground again. And these pursuits, like, these are fine for Artie. They're absolutely fine, because it's getting static defenses up and it's securing new resources in a situation where he's eco up. You can see it there. Like, it's getting to a ridiculous degree now. He's 17 villages up over Wham. It's not going to slow down. Wham, like, he could think about layering himself, either going Castle Age or going for multi-TC, but he's stuck now. He's genuinely stuck. He invested too much in this now, and Artie's too far ahead. He doesn't like the idea of backing off, because Artie could easily take control of the game. So while Wham still has a semblance of control, he has to push the aggression. And that's why he invests in 2 more Rams and looks to turn it into a Wham Bam thank you man moment. But I don't think it's going to be that easy. Artie, meanwhile, military count starting to reach Wham's count. Could exceed him in the next 2 minutes. Comes down to if you can get a good trade. Yes, Artie, yes! So the camels move up here, just in case. It's about the ball. And now they can wrap around. They can even head into the eco of Wam unnoticed. This is vital info Artie just gained. He knows that Wam is running out of resources. So he backs up. He lets him take out the small expansion. But he will aggress him here when the Knights are looking to dive in. They'll go in, but it's textiles on the villagers. They can't even insta-strike down. And this many horsemen could do some serious damage. The Knights are too far away. While that happens, Artie will just guard behind his wood line, won't chip all the way through to allow easy access. Horsemen need to be careful. The archers are arriving, but look at this. The numbers not in favor of Wam in the cavalry battalion here. The horsemen need to respect the amount of archers firing upon them. We'll back away now, but camel archers already in. And Wam is in trouble. He doesn't have any military buildings back here. He can't protect himself. Look at the idle eco right now. Oh my God, Wam, that is basically, that's everything. Every single eco unit is not gathering right now. He can't afford this. He needs to get them back on the food right now. He needs to get them back on the wood. And this camel archer battalion from Artie, he's going to run it away because he forced a full defensive reaction as Wam wheels back the Knights to deal with this. But look what's sneaking in. The horsemen are going to make their way through. The walls are not quick enough. He gets through the gap. Oh, no. And you need to run. You need to hide. Don Artie's coming for you. Ooh, this is Five Nights at Freddy's now. There's definitely enough monsters in this facility to facilitate that. And the villagers just going down. Wam, look at the lead now. 30 villagers ahead for Artie. Artie's played this perfectly, and Wam, he's forced to commit. He dives in. He has no choice. Rams on the side. Will at least be able to get rid of the extension. Villagers now exposed. Artie hasn't reacted yet. He's too busy microing in the base of Wam, taking the trades as they come to him. But this is going to cost him a lot of villagers as a result. But who's going to get the better trades? The question mark now. Camel archers turned upon by the villagers. Villagers that do have textiles from Wam. Looks like he's going to hold. Meanwhile, Artie didn't react. It's a massacre on his wood line. That's like, what, 15 villagers down? But Artie still up by 21 villagers. A lot of idle eco here. Artie played this well aggressively. Maybe not too much economically. He has got a lot of idle villagers just going down. Chip this line a little bit too thin and allow this flood through from Wam. But Artie doesn't care, folks. The reason Artie doesn't care is because it's a throwaway. Look what's been happening this whole while. Castle Age is on its way up, and this is the problem for Wam. He overinvested. You went full archer. You never go full archer against the Abbasids. Okay, maybe you did. I just like saying that statement. But it's going to feel that way in this matchup. If you go full archer, you cannot allow them to go castle, because the moment they go castle, a Mangonel gets built, and a Mangonel will beat your ass into the ground. Ram's trying to get through the infrastructure. Artie doesn't care about the houses, though. You can tell by the amount of units he lost that he's got room. Golden Age getting a slight nerf to it as he tries to keep tier 2 alive. More housing being targeted by the Rams. Now up to 5 for Wam. Proving to us that it's a misspell for him. Artie needs to get on the wood. There it is in the corner. 20 people snuck out. They will never be noticed. Oh, Artie, he already knows what he needs to win this. Garrison in the TC. Banks the last of the gold. He's got enough for double Mangonel here, and that's all he really needs. Just needs to sort his wood now. It is incoming. Needs to get a few troops out. He actually needs to get infrastructure to the backside. Archery range and racks is not safe to build out of. Hard on the gold again. He could trade for the wood needed here. Yeah, that's the intent. Artie's hard on the gold and gathering wood at the backside, so he'll be able to afford it. Needs to be fast. Ram. Keeping up the Ram pressure here. Lance is coming out instead, though. Instead of going for the Mangonels, he just goes straight for the armored units here. Oh my God, this actually might work as well. Wam doesn't have anything to defend against this. The early Knights cannot match up against this, and they're already outnumbered. And the push continues, because if there's one thing Artie can afford, it was the food and it was the gold. And look at him hard on the gold. He's going for the trade. He's just trying to trade through. The best thing that Wam could do right now is buy up as well to make sure that the food trade rates would be bad for Artie. But it looks like he's got enough Lancers out. This is pushing him back. Wam, it's done. I don't see what you do now. You're a whole age behind. You need to recover. You need to go up for yourself, but he's reinvesting. All he can get is archers and early Knights, and he's been fully discounted by what Artie has done here. And after this discount occurs, keep in mind what Artie can do next. He can go into the Camel Riders. Camel Riders to deal with any Knights you would push, but right now it's all about the Lancers. And they are blitzing the forward army from Wam. Archer's all but just cleaned up now. Eco count still heavily in favor of Artie, and now a whole age ahead. Wam is looking like nothing but a pile of rubble at this stage. Pile of corpses. Forward infrastructure serves no real purpose. Your pocket ecos are drying up faster than you need them to. You need to actually buy a lot more time here. You're not a clocksmith. You're not in the business of buying time here. Lancers right in. Knights will try to buy some time. They'll give their lives to do so. 1-2 Knights did sneak around the backside. Artie did let up on the production for the moment as he tried to rebuild. It shouldn't take him too long as he's going to look to actually build up economically further with a third TC. Quite a late one as well, but feels like he's in full control of this game, and he's damn right. The Lancers are unanswered. They're riding in. They know where to look. There are wooden fortresses here that will protect, but they only have arrow slits. There's no sprinkled upgrades. And look at the garrisoning coming out. Once again, it's full idle eco. Wam in trouble here. Half his eco goes sleepy mode. The other half, if they don't get somewhere safe soon, are going to go sleepy, go bye-bye permanently. Just a few knights here. Heavily armored, but heavily injured. Just 2 lancers, 3 lancers, in fact. That'll scare him away. The dives just continue. Like, the amount of idle time. Think about it this way, folks. The amount of villagers idle right now, the time it takes to kill one of these lancers, Artie has gained that much resource, and you've lost that much resource. It's worth it. It's so worth it. Wam has 51 eco, and it's all idle. Every single villager is garrisoned, and as a result, he can do nothing right in this game. GG gets called. Artista opening up with a win. What a way to do it. This will not be easy for Wam. Just have to see what he can achieve here. Apologies. I think did the screen not show for a second there? Okay, I think we're good. Yes. One sec. Let me fix that. That was a bit dicey. Okay, there we go. Fix in case I accidentally... No. Wait, what's happening here? Apologies, guys. I'm going to pause that for a sec. Oh, it's duplicated. It shouldn't have duplicated. Apologies, folks. Let me just fix that quickly. I hope you didn't look at the top right corner because I don't want you to ruin it for yourself. Okay, let me just grab the right thing. Mix up, because it was using the same image reference, it was changing it in different scenes. So apologies for that. Hopefully you didn't ruin it for yourself. Well, I ruined it for you. What scene is that? Oh, I created an AoE for Golden League and I had a casting one. That's why. I've got too many scenes. That's what we learned. All right, let's get underway. Here we go. Match point for Artie. Can he slay one of the beasts of Golden League? Let's find out as we head into Highview. The home map of Wam. Feels confident about his ability with the Delhi. We've seen this matchup. It's quite an interesting one because the boar allows it. It's a critical detail. And usually, the detail that we've seen we've seen Delhi absolutely annihilate Roost players trying to go for the ball, but it usually is closer to their base. I gotta say, I'm not sure if actually Wam will be able to deny this ball, and it might be a big deal because Artie, well, he is a confirmed ram rusher. He loves his rams. And I'm sure he wants to give one across to Wam. I've seen this guy play the Roost probably longer and more consistently than any other player in the game in the past. I remember he was like trying to do feudal age ram rushes with the Roost when everyone else was just fully believing the horse archers. He was looking for the way forward. So he's definitely attuned to the way of this Civ. And I'm sure he has a way forward to try and close out the series. The question is what Wam can do. Playing as the Delhi, It's a powerful Civ in the right hands, and Wam has definitely proven his capabilities alongside his bro Puppy Paw. Usually on maps like Dry Arabia, I'm not necessarily the biggest fan of the return to Delhi on Sacred Site control for High View. I think it can be a little bit of a bait in that you get one for free. The second one is almost always contested, and the risk you run when you're the Delhi is if you go up against a Civ that can match your aggression. And I think the Roost is one of them. The Roost is kind of the gamble point. Same with things like the French. Like, if these Civs appear in this matchup, I think it gets very uncomfortable for the Delhi. And I think Wam's going to have to be really on point to not fall behind in this one. And key step number 1 is going to be the gold situation via the bounty, where before the 3-minute mark, Artie has already cracked the 300 barrier. And I don't think it's going to slow down. This looks like this could be a 360 bounty game, actually. In fact, I'm looking at a layout, and I don't like this about Wam's base. Wam has a really awkward game because of his goal being so far forward of his base. I think this is always a risk. Like, if you end up playing defensive, this can easily backfire. My concern right now is that because it's forward of your base and you're up against an Archer spamming Civ, you could get blocked off a gold. If Artie wants to be ultra aggressive, he could actually deny you before you can even get into Scholars. And that's big. We've seen what happens when these Delhi players can't get their first few Scholars out. The game shuts down. Like, everything just doesn't work because you can't research things quick enough. You can't risk sending the few Scholars you have out to get Sacred Sites. You can't use them as a medic in combat. It's a very uncomfortable game. And yeah, Artie's already making it uncomfortable because look how far out your villagers are. This means you can't be very efficient because you have to pull them back while gathering less gold per because it's such a long run. And Artie just stands here now. So looks like Wam didn't even get enough gold for 1 extra Scholar. So he's going to have to push back against this. Scouts are coming back home. Looks like one of them peeled off for Artie as he wants to return the sheep. Looks like he's actually going to allow this, but look what's happening. Tech up's going to be complete ahead of Wam by Artie. And let's see if he goes for the ball play. It looks like he hasn't shifted out for it just yet. This just might be a safer play and maybe pulling in, Knights to the front line because Knights would be really solid here due to the exposure. In fact, if I'm Wam, I'm heavily considering just going for a Rax to open here. It's hard to see a world in which you can't, but it also doesn't feel good because you're against Roos and you know they want to build archers. There we go, tech up through, Wam. Let's see where he goes militarily. You have to play the midfield as Delhi. You can't afford to sit back. It's going to be stables. Yeah, that was my concern. Because I'm pretty sure Artie could just push Knights and target out your villages. I hope you get textiles, Wam. Very important that you get that soon. He can wait probably about another 1.5 to 2 minutes, but after that, textiles will be good. Like, if you see a Knight coming, just go for it. Because you have to remember that textiles only takes 20 seconds, 25 seconds. So it's not really harming your villager production rate. A lot of other civs struggle with this because it's like you're stopping yourself from producing 1 villager, but then also paying 150 resources, which is a very big deal. But most games, we do see Delhi players getting into it. Meanwhile, mining camp is torched to the point that it's on fire, but repairs will come out just in time. Wam does need this gold. The first horseman coming out. Oh, he jumped the gun and Artie realized it. He's willing to fight him here. Because remember, scouts heal the damage off. And a secondary TC Artie. Hello. Did this get spotted? Well, it's about to be. So Wam's going to see this. What? No way. No way. Wam doesn't see it. Okay. That could be big. If this remains hidden for another minute or two, Wam isn't going to realize how much he's in trouble. He's trying to play for the Sacred Site control, so the outpost would let him see, but I don't know if this outpost ever goes up. You can see the stables are coming down now. The Rax as well. It is the Rax play that we want to see. Ladies and gentlemen, this game might get very spooky very fast for Wam. Now, I quite like this composition against the Delhi because they're more inclined to push food-heavy units because of berry gathering. And honestly, In this situation, Wam's saving grace might be his lack of berries. He's only got one very far out to the north side, so he might contemplate going Archer Horseman, and that might save him. The problem, however, is that you are playing against the Roos. You're expecting a lot of archers. He's probably more likely to just double down on Horseman because that's the threat that you're expecting to come your way, right, is archers, and you can't necessarily match the push. But it looks like, yeah, it's going to be the archer range, so he's going to get the Archer Horseman composition. Spearman can still work out well for Artie if he plays the tree lines correct, but it is going to be very hard to find full exploitative value. The important detail for him, though, is trying to deny these outposts going up. We see one does get snuck in. Wam gets the info, so he now knows about the secondary TC. The question mark, however, is what he can do about it. Scout is at least going to be pushed away. Now, remember, you don't get any value off the boar when you're playing as a deli because your people hate boar. Don't ask me why. They live in a desert. I don't think they've ever seen a boar before. I'm not even sure if boar... Do boar exist in deserts? Well, now I seem very ignorant. Now I'm showing my ignorant Westerner side. Horseman will at least look to chase away the vision that Artie's gaining here. As Artie's trying to get info on what's coming next, but it is going to be the Holy Trinity. There it is, racks, archery range, and stables, and it seems a bit weird, but I kind of like it. With the TC boom as well, I think you just want to keep a composite force that holds the mid ground and can contest anything coming. And although this isn't as powerful as like triple archery range into ram rush, that's not the goal now for Artie. The goal for Artie is to eco boom up while blocking Wam's eco boom, which is these sacred sites. And I think a composite force of all three different military buildings can do that, and you can afford to do it quite easily as the Roos because of the extra wood you've been gathering with the Wooden Fortress influence. Also starting to amass. He wants to move soon. He doesn't want to allow the scholar count to increase. There it is. Blocks the sacred site. Backside as well. He tried to slow him down. Looks like the scout is going to be taken out, but the central sacred site is going to be blocked. Wam has to back away. Spears. On their own here, actually. Where's the next knight? Oh, he's switching to horseman. Okay, so yeah, not willing to invest the knights. A little bit too pricey. He'll just go for the cheap units. It does make sense if you think about it, right? He's pushing spears, archers, and now a third unit. Like, if you go knights, it does feel ultra greedy, especially when you have double TC. Horseman is at least affordable. And he does get a lot of food right now, because we have to remember that the Artie, you know, he was able to get past the tier 2 bounty, and he is harvesting on the deer right now. And right now, he just needs cheap, bulk units to push in here. And look at this. The distraction is good enough. He pushes away the archers and moves out of 17 villages. And no fortification upgrade yet, so this is going to be torched down fast. Archers are going to push away their opponents here, but horsemen are going to flood out afterwards, so you're going to want to be quick to disengage. 3 villages, 4 villages going down. More to fall soon as well. No textiles out from Artie, so a heavy investment to get rid of the outpost. He will be able to peel back, and we have to remember, like, eco lead is already sizable for him. He's already 8 villages up, even after that loss. So he feels confident about the throwaway. And now, with a neutral sacred site state, it's going to be very difficult for Wam to hold on here. He didn't even get the cap on the backside. The knight wrapped around. Oh, wow. That is a big deal. Wam. So he isn't even getting the idle gold. He's still actually investing villages back at base to get that gold for the scholars he needs to win the game. And it means that he's falling miles behind Artie now. Like, this is kind of reminiscent of game 1, where Artie was finding very unique ways of economically exploiting the game with his TC. And he's doing it again. More clearly in this one than the last one. Wow. Tick-tock goes the clock, my friend. You are going to need an answer fast here. Sacred Site control alone might not be good enough. He might need to find a way of burning this TC. I just don't see the horseman push that would enable it. With this berry patch under his control, he could do it. And I think it is important that you do it. Because otherwise, I could easily see Artie reactionary castling after he sees you do it, but having a bigger military force as a result and pushing in. Or even doubling down. Actually, thinking more about Artie, I wouldn't be surprised if he sees you tech up, he might just double down on feudal and try to end the game. And by the time you reach Castle Age as Wam, I think the military count for Artie should be at least 50. which is big enough to go in and end the game. Especially if he's priming Siege Engineering. Yeah, of course he has. Artie loves rams. They're already ready and available to be built. And the march he goes. No new outpost going up around here. He's going to wall in the western sacred site, though. Decap on the center. And immediately Wam will back away because he pulled forces away for a flank attack here. It's going to be hard to find the extreme value you need to make this worthwhile. But with a few low villages and no textiles coming through for Don Artie, it is feasible to get some value for this horseman. Artie. Oh, he sees it all. So outpost goes up. He's going to look to peel away. Oh, a little bit of a misplay there, losing the scout. But it does get vital info, so he knows there's a static defense here. And the ram's being built up as a result. So justified investment now. And a quick route towards the base. If he can shut off the gold, he maybe just shuts Wam down entirely. Because Wam, like, he's still not ready for a tech up. He's still investing. Oh, wait, no, he is. I'm blind. Oh, there it is. I was aware the hell is he doing it? Compounding the defender on the south side here. But remember what we said about the timing. Like, look at the count now. Don Artie is close to that 50 mark we were talking about. Ram has been built. He's going to move in for the kill. So Wam, he needs to buy time. He'll back up entirely. He'll give the wiggle room. He needs to get the initial upgrades out, the initial troops out. This is where it gets a little bit uncomfortable. You can't just push lancers because, remember, Artie did build spears. So you've already been discounted that option. Your only option really is man-at-arms, and I don't think it's going to be quick enough. He hasn't got the efficiency. He hasn't banked a scholar there. His infrastructure's on the front line. He has to rebuild it behind, and that's going to take time. A lot of time, in fact. Oh my. More rams being built up. What is Wam doing? He hasn't queued any units yet. I'm not sure what... Oh, okay, the plan is a keep. He needs a keep. He's playing for a keep, but the keep location might surrender half his base. Understandably, it won't take too long to get the stone together, right? But the build-up is going to be the problem here, especially with this many rams bearing down upon you. I don't know about this one, Wam. I think this is a misread. I think Artie's read it perfectly. He already knows what to expect. He's looking at the base. He doesn't see a landmark. Why wouldn't he see a landmark yet? Well, there's one logical reasoning, and it's that it's at the back, and it's probably a compound of the defender. Or it's House of Learning. If it's House of Learning, it does nothing. If it's compound of the defender, it means he's probably hard on stone playing for a keep, and the read should be perfect here. One of the Elephant Archers will come out, so that's decent at least for Wam. The problem is the count of archers is too high. Like, the Scholars can't stand here and heal. They're just being massacred right now. The Rams are in on the primary TC. Oh, no. No, this is bad right now for Wam. He needs to get the keep up ASAP. He needs to stabilize. New archer range is being built up in the meantime. Goes to the keep, but the location is way too zealous here. Tower Elephant is buying a lot of time. Going for the build-up. Don Artie will see it, though. Tower Elephant lasting quite a damn while here, but there's the peel-off. He doesn't care anymore. He goes after the villagers instead. And the build-up. The build-up's going to take a little bit too long here. I think it might not be complete, in fact. This is going to be tight. If he gets it, it's a heavy hit to his eco regardless. Look at the Rams in the meantime. The TC is on fire. Villager count is shrinking for Wam, while Don Artie continues to increase. And the build, he didn't finish it. Okay, he gets it in the end. 8 villagers survived that, though. And although he gets to keep up, at what cost? How high is the price in this game? Elephant is going to start to be targeted out, and he gets blocked off. He can't move away from the spears. That elephant's down. That's 1,000 resources gone. This is still a good trade for Artie. Artie now in a situation where he is tripling up the Wam eco. Oh my God. And he's not done. It's going to make the numbers better. The keep that you worked so hard to build. It's going to be counted by the free Rams. The Rams that took out your TC, your forward infrastructure. And it's now going to take out the one foothold you have left in this game. And this will put you fully on tilt. Right now, you're an AT-AT that is waiting to be tripped up. Fall over. And it looks like this is where you're going to be tripped up. This is where you're going to clamber down on your side and beg for mercy from Artie, because Artie, he's ready to tech up. And he doesn't care about the relics. It's the high trade house in the back corner. He understands he's up against a Delhi player that's had Castle Age for a while and probably has relics. But here's the dumb part. At any stage, those relics can just be gone to you. because of these free Rams. These free Rams here that have still yet to be assaulted in any serious way by Wam. And I don't think they ever are. I think this is the end of Wam's journey. In week 1, you can see how it got here. One Tower Elephant to try and save him. This Tower Elephant is the world to him, because if he loses this one, I don't think he can afford an additional. The Spearman, the Horseman, just a few to buffer him away. He'll try to drive by them, but you can see how far back he's going to be pushed. More Rams being built up in the meantime. And I mean, this can just be a landmark type victory. Artie can head for the south one. He now sees where it is, as the Elephant has fully revealed it, if it hadn't been revealed beforehand. First off, he'll stop off at the mosque to stop the gold intake for Wam. With a small slew of troops coming in, it's enough to stop the Elephants from assaulting the Rams. Say that one archer, one archer defeats like, I need to be fast, done. All the relics out, Wololo play. You can just move out of range. Artie, he just kills him. He doesn't even walk away. The skulls are gone. The Rams are unanswered. Wam's entire base is on fire. They will move in for the jugular for the final blow here. And the villager pool, that's a desperate villager pool. That's like half of Wam's eco at this stage. He's down to 22 eco units. He hasn't been able to build more villagers for the last 2 minutes. And he can't kill the Rams quick enough. Folks, that is going to be it. Wam's journey comes to a close in week 1 on the road to Wololo. We'll have to try again next week, because there was no way Artie was letting him by. Oh, dude. Like, Artie is an artista. I love watching this guy. And you know what? I'm pretty sure, like, we kind of forgot about him for a while. But every time we forget about Artie, we get another reason to tune in. We get another reason to look his way and respect the god gamer that he can be. Because that was remarkably well played by him. Like, game 1, game 2, like, I'm not going to say they're the cleanest. I'll be real. I think, like, Artie, if he goes up against, like, Beastie, Marine Lord, those type of people, these strategies, probably going to struggle. Probably going to die. There's still optimizations. But, like, in the messiness, there is a beauty. Artie is a player of chaos. He is a worshipper of chaos. And because we're not in the Warhammer 40k world, he's not going to be burnt at a stake. He's going to be revered as a god gamer. Taking out one of the top 8 like that. Ah, what a lad.